Oh. Let's see. There we go. That looks nice. Okay. I need to look this verse up first. I think it's about time that I shared my testimony. To start it out, I just want to read 1 Corinthians 4. As for me, it matters very little how I might be evaluated by you or by any human authority. I don't even trust my own judgment at this point. My conscience is clear, but that doesn't prove I'm right. It is the Lord himself who will examine me and decide. So don't make judgments about anyone ahead of time before the Lord returns. For he will bring the darkest secrets to light and will reveal our private motives. Then God will give to each one of us whatever praise is due. It matters very little how I might be evaluated by the world, by human authority. So let's start from the beginning. Something that I've only recently realized. I've been attacked by the devil since a very young age. I was exposed to porn probably 5, 6 years old, which no 5 or 6 year old should ever have the urge to look that up or even know what that is. And I didn't even know what it was. Somehow, I still ended up in that position. Fast forward 2 or 3 years, I was in what I can call, in lamest terms, sexually active, but not with anything. There was nothing that prompted it. I wasn't, Before I edit, sexually active, I don't mean with other people. I mean, like, with myself. Anyways, I think you guys knew that, but whatever. It was... all I knew is that that's what was going on, and I didn't realize that that's what it was until a few years ago. Again, what 5 to 7 year old knows what that is? Then you actually, when you grow up, you start watching explicit stuff. I would say as any person does, but I as much as I would wish that not to be true, unfortunately, most of us have been put in that position. I want to read something in my book that I just wrote. It's called Where I Was Found. It's written kind of, it's written on Where I Was Found, which is my bedroom. Oh, I do want to read this one. This one I titled Free Will. Is this what you said on January 27th, 2020? I am grateful for my free will. It taught me that I do not know anything. All of my bad decisions and my failures brought me to you. It is only through free will that I am here now. I get to love my Father because I desire to, so that you can now say, you are free will. God speaks through me in writing. I could never write that on my own. But I just think that is so good. Free will. We all have free will. But now he calls me free. He calls Will free on January 27, 2020. When I finally realized that my identity, the things I've done, the things I'm doing, they really aren't doing anything for me. Oh, it was right here. This one's titled Found. Here where sin won me, you found me. I sit and read the word on the grave of my old flesh. It cannot be snatched away. The same place where I remember watching porn my first time as older. was in my bedroom. Still remember it to this day. The place where I found Jesus was in the same place. I sit and read the word on the grave of my old flesh. The place where the devil tried to destroy me, tried to ruin my mind, tried to confuse me, tried to show me that this is what makes you happy, and see, just do this. It's all going to work out if you just keep watching this and fueling your desires now. Unfortunately, panic attacks and confusion and identity were all trounced in an instant when I realized what I really needed. It was no longer giving in to my sexual desires or giving in to the lies of myself and what the devil was trying to tell me. It was finally refreshing. And it was this, January 27th. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And you know, I'm still battling that as much as I fight and try to push it away. And I know I'm free. And I know that Jesus calls me free, and I know I can't hang on to something that has been with me since I was 5 years old, but every day it's a battle. How sick does the enemy have to be to attack a 5-year-old? You're conscious at 3, I think. So, my earliest memory. And it wouldn't be important to my story if I didn't remember it, right? But, you know, as I still battle and things I've been free from, I know my identity. My identity's in Christ. I'm a creation of Jesus. First of all. So that's no longer a battle. Second of all, I have no fear. I really don't. People like to believe in Jesus because he's saving them from hell. I believe in Jesus because he makes my life better now. I believe in Jesus because he makes my life better. I do not long to flaunt my eternity like some prize I earned. Jesus gifted it to me. In quotes, it is better to give than receive, end quote. So I will work all the days of my life to get those who are cross-arms to extend their hands, to not only live in peace now, but forever. I don't know how to describe it to you other than peace. I used to describe it as rest. It's just rest. And I don't long to flaunt my eternity or tell other people where their eternity lies, because I don't know. All I know is that I have a peace that surpasses understanding, and that's the truth. This one's titled Beginning. I remember the first taste of sin. It was incredible for a time, until it ruled my life. I remember the first taste of Jesus. It is incredible forever, and ruler of my life. Porn was my biggest setback, as I explained, from a very early age. Now, there was some space in between that, obviously. But I still remember that. It was incredible for a time. And isn't that the truth? Those parties that you go to, the things that you indulge in. It's like eating half of a cheesecake. Wow, that tasted good. But then you're like, my stomach's really starting to hurt. Maybe I shouldn't have eaten that cheesecake. It was incredible for a time. And it was. Because my flesh longs for sexual desires. But when you have to sit there and you have to think about what you just did, it's not incredible. It's like the other half of that cheesecake. I don't want it anymore. When I found Jesus, it's incredible forever. Ruler of my life. I give in to sin constantly, and I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't have the chains that I put back on myself, because they're off. They're off right now. I have no chains. As I speak to this camera, I have no chains. But I like to put them back on. Jesus has freed me. He's freed you. If you've put your faith in Jesus, He's freed you. I have to learn to take the chains off. I'm going to read two more. Quotes. The moment you give up is the moment you let somebody else win. End quote. Kobe Bryant. It is kind of crazy how Kobe prompted my faith in Jesus. I love this quote. The one we are letting win is not a flesh competitor. He's a spiritual one. If I fail my Savior and choose to give up, I am letting my adversary win. He had victory for 15 years. He has none now. I didn't earn it, but I will do everything to maintain and share it. The moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win. And like I said, the one you're letting win is your competitor, the enemy, your flesh competitor. He's not my soul competitor. He can never get my soul. If you are one with Jesus, He can never get your soul. That's what He hates most. So He wants you to fall in your flesh and put the chains back on and feel bad for yourself and feel like a victim and get in guilt, because that's the only thing He can touch. He can't touch your soul. He had victory for 15 years. He has none now. That's what I mean by that. 15 years old, sitting in my bedroom. Kobe Bryant dies 2 days before, 2 or 3 days before. I'm sitting on TikTok. I'm scrolling. Video pops up. Kobe Bryant's unexpected death got me thinking, what am I going to do when I die? If death would have come in the first 15 years, I wouldn't be here, but I wouldn't be up there. And I would have never known peace. I would have never known peace, and I lived at Christian school, and I lived at VBS, and I lived in a household that encouraged Christ, and I never knew peace until I had it on my own. That's why I will do everything to maintain and share it. This is maintaining and sharing it. Because some people are in the same position that I was, then they're my age. They're older. They're parents. They went to church. They never knew the peace. They knew the legalism, they knew the moralism, but they never knew peace. After I started believing, I was a terrible believer. I would judge other people. I would go to school. People probably thought I was so freaking annoying, and rightfully so. Because I would push them. And I was doing the same thing that was done to me in my first 15 years. Jesus is awesome. Jesus is awesome. How is He awesome? Tell me why. Tell me why He's awesome. Tell me what He's done for you. Give me some evidence. And and I will say this, it's not just your story. There's mounting evidence too that you can use. And we can argue about that, but that's why you have both. Last poem. I've lost friends, and it's been my fault. I thought being righteous was best. Maybe if I was better, they would have wanted to be found too. It is a better way to live, but I looked miserable. I was trying to check my list every day, even trying to check others as well. Now, it's not a burden to follow, but before I let go, it was. I stopped seeing sin as something I couldn't do, and rather something I have no desire to do. My heart changed, but I fear the memory of me hasn't. I stopped seeing sin as something I couldn't do. When you stop seeing sin as, like I said, you're chained up. I'm no longer chained up. Sin has no control over me. It's my decision if I want to put those chains back on myself. It's rather something that I don't even want to touch, because I know peace, and I know love, I know rest. My heart changed. And I said I looked miserable, and I was checking off a list. That's so true. I was a moralist. I was a legalist. Even though I had the peace of Christ, I was still trying to, it's like I was chained up. I was chained up to legalism. You didn't do that? Oh, you're gonna have an apartment in heaven while they're gonna have a mansion. It's like, well, that's not how it works. There's no hierarchy. God has no favorites. I forget what that verse is, but it literally says God has no favorites. You believe in Jesus. God has no favorites. I was trying to check my list every day, even trying to check others as well. I was putting unbelievers in my believer box. And they may have been claiming to believers, but that's not my job. How dare I put them in a box? How dare I tell them what they can and cannot do when they aren't following Jesus? They don't know peace. They don't know love. They don't know any better. I looked miserable. I looked miserable. Like I said, I had the chains on. I had my chains on. I said one more, but I think I want to end with one. I don't know which one yet, so I'll end with this one. But I do want to continue in my story. After I was a believer, I had 20,000 on TikTok, and I was just posting random stuff, like boomer stuff, basically. And then I started posting Christian stuff, and started doing better, and it started doing better. It started to do better. And the thing I always tell people is, once you have something, you just want more. People are like, how do I get to that? How do I get to that number that you have? And when God tells, or when the Bible tells us that the rich have more hindrance than the poor because they have more to give up, he's not lying. It's hard. I have 400,000. I think 408,000 I was looking today. I have to deny that every single day. And you're saying, Will, oh, that's a hard life. I'm just saying it's a hindrance. You have to be, your faith has to be the number one priority when something else is calling your name, saying, Will, give us more attention. Will, you can make so much more money from this if you weren't doing that. Will, if you just posted this, you would get so many more likes. It's a hindrance. Just how money is for the rich. Oh, I was continuing. Anyways, so I started posting on TikTok. I'm so grateful that I get to do this. And I wish I could, I'm not saying I wish I could. I wish I had already talked to more people in person. But my mission field here, oh, is it still good? It got too hot. I've been talking too long. Anyway, but my mission field here, all that to say, I'm just so glad that I get to do this. And I'm so grateful that God has put you guys in my life. Final poem, and I want to finish with this. It's titled Empty. The tomb was left empty. You left the tomb empty so my life wouldn't be. My life is no longer empty. And I say, God's put this in my life. God's put this writing books in my life. I would have never written a book. I will say I can't write, but God has given me the ability to write. And people say, how do you think of these ideas? I don't think of them, they're God. I don't know other to tell you. I hear a sound and my mind immediately goes here. It's like amazing. He left the tomb so my life wouldn't be empty. If you're feeling empty, if you're feeling distraught, if you don't have peace, if you don't have rest, if you're constantly striving, if you're constantly trying to fight, I'm not saying that I don't sometimes do that, but I'm free. I can always go back to my freedom. I have no chains. And I know that I will spend eternity in heaven with Jesus. But I also know that I will have peace here. It's not just eternity in heaven. It's my peace here that I get to share. No work. Okay, I was, nope. Okay, I was talking too long. Hopefully you can still hear me. Bye. This is gonna work. Okay. Anyways, I hope I finished that, and I hope this helps somebody. Have a beautiful day.